Sadness is a gift that we've been given to be able to express inevitable loss of what we care about. Sadness is a feeling that allows us to have pain about an attachment going away. Sadness is the missing feeling. It's the feeling that allows you to care about someone and have pain when they're gone. Without sadness, there's no attachment. You got that? Because if you care about someone and that person, place, memory goes away, you're going to experience a loss. And if an attachment is pulled off of you, pulled away from you, you're going to have pain. And the pain of the loss of attachment is sadness. Sadness is the caring feeling. If you can't attach, which means face that there will be pain, very likely, because loss is inevitable, you can't care. There was a time that I honestly believed I might not have a conscience. And because I couldn't see myself capable of caring like I was really made to. Even with Sonia, I would fake like I was caring, but I didn't know how to do it anymore. I had given that up. And it was a very joyful experience. One day I was driving up the interstate and I started imagining she was going off on a weekend with 3 other ladies. There were 4 of them they were going to go play tennis or something. And I was driving up the interstate and I thought, what if something happened to her? And I thought, well, if something happened to her, she could get killed. And if she got killed, then what would happen? How would I raise our sons? And because I don't want to live. And if she's not here, and all of a sudden I started crying. I started like bawling. And then I started laughing because I was so fortunate to be able to cry so hard about the possibility of losing her. I wasn't hard anymore. I was capable of caring. I was capable of imagining something that probably wasn't going to happen. And I was so grateful to find out how much I was capable of being attached to her, how much I cared about her, how much I loved her, and with the pain of what it would be like to lose her. Sadness is a gift we've been given that honors loss. Sadness is a test to see whether or not you're capable of caring, that you can let yourself do it. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Sadness means you're capable of giving yourself to something that matters, knowing there's a price tag to it. Remember I said, worst thing you can do related to love is have children. You've signed a contract of sadness. And I remember, and sadness is not, remember sadness is a good thing. It's a gift. Even when they left for college, we were able to spend time with each one of them before they left saying goodbye. And every single time, both the times whether we did that, it was beautiful. Because saying, you're grown, you're gone, you're leaving. I'm going to miss you. And the brothers tore me up talking to each other. Because the one that left first says, I don't know what I'm going to do without you here. And the other one saying, and just the crying, it was beautiful. They were sad. They had been attached. So the things that they had gotten to do together were amazing related to sports. And they were never going to play together again, so to speak. They were saying goodbye. And the importance of saying goodbye, you can see how their saying goodbye blessed their relationship, blessed me, and now blesses us. It's amazing, isn't it? So let me tell you, I was thinking on the way up here, down here, I'm the first generation to not walk behind a shovel plow. For those of you who don't know, it's mules. My father spent all his days up until he left for medical school behind a mule, which seems strange. This is 2017. I'm the first generation not to be behind a mule. And he made it to med school. And he became a doctor. He became a surgeon. He became somebody who could fix people. He became a point of pride for his father. But his father remained a man who was not given to emotional closeness or expression, and a mother who remained worried all the time. So he became a doctor and could fix people, but couldn't make them okay. He put wiring in their house. He put indoor plumbing in their house. He put central heat and air in their house. He was attending to them physically. But he never could do enough to make him okay. He never could fix them enough to give him peace that they'd gotten out of that poverty. And so those years go by. His father has a heart attack. He takes him to the hospital. Because he's a doctor, he could get him help. He could decide when he went home. So Pop, that was my grandfather's name, they couldn't find anything wrong with his heart, even though he'd had all kinds of heart problems. So Pop says, I want to go home to my dad. My father says, well, look, I'll watch after you. Let's go home and we'll surprise Mama, my grandmother. So they go out to the house, country dark. Country dark's almost like a cave. There's a security light here, and then it's more dark. So they drive up the dark driveway to a dark house with a security lamp over in the field and one lamp on in the house, dark. And his father gets out of the car after they pull into the dark driveway. My dad gets out. He's going to go around and get him. My grandfather stands up, and all of a sudden he doesn't see him. My father doesn't see him anymore. He's fallen to the ground. My father runs over to him, picks him up, carries him like a child, runs up to the porch. He's already had a massive coronary. He's dead in his arms. Runs up, he's banging on the door, the front door on the porch, the old country porch, banging, Mama, Mama, Mama. There's some air tanks in the house. Mama, and she's slow and she can't hear him. She's scared because she didn't know they were coming. It was going to be a surprise. The surprise was my father brought a dead man home. God. So she finally comes to the door, turns the light on. There's Pop out on the front porch. My father, frantic, runs in, picks these tanks up that almost take 2 men to move. Comes out and does everything he can, but he's trying to resuscitate someone who's already gone. So my father comes home. He blames himself for having killed his father. Never said it, but he carried the burden of something else and someone else he couldn't fix. Okay? So that sadness becomes a pall over him, a sadness he can't grieve, he can't let go of, he can't finish. And then it just carries on into his inability to let himself be close to others, the inability to see, and then all of a sudden, his sadness that he can't grieve becomes our sadness that we have to grieve for him, or something to that effect. So what I'm saying is, like, just thinking about that coming here, life has sadness in it. He cared about his father. He wanted to surprise his mother, but he couldn't do what he couldn't do. And he ended up being in a situation that he spent his life blaming himself for it instead of just grieving his powerlessness in love. I love my father. I love my mother. I never could make them okay. I couldn't take away what had happened in their lives. And it's my fault my father died. No. His inability, his proficiency in controlling his feelings became his inability to be free and let his sadness take him to what the gift of sadness is. What's the gift of sadness? The gift of sadness is acceptance. We talked about what acceptance is earlier. Acceptance is, it's not okay. That story I just told you, that's not okay. Agreed? And it turns out it could have been and never was okay, because couldn't let himself honor how much he loved, but what he couldn't do. Okay? So, and it's never going to be okay, and that's okay. You have sadness experiences in your lives. They're not made to be compared to anybody else's. Guys, you need to hear this. Your sadness is not made to be compared to other people's sadness as a way of reducing your own or increasing yours. Nobody else walks in your body but you. Your pain is your pain. It's nobody else's pain. That means it's a responsibility and a problem. But you cannot minimize your pain. Pain is pain. You see? So sadness matters because it's your sadness, your loss, your attachment, your care, your responsibility to honor yourself as a caring person, to not let sadnesses pile up. Because if it piles up, the burden will become heavy enough that you can get to a place of depression. and you will get to a place of not being able to live in acceptance. If you're not willing to live in acceptance, you're going to spend your time trying to control everybody so you'll never have to be sad. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like if you never want your children to have pain, keep them at home. Lock them in a room somewhere and put food under the door. That wouldn't be good, but it would help you. So your sadness would probably would quintuple, of course. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Impaired sadness, for every feeling we don't take ownership of. Okay. Every feeling we don't take ownership of, like when I did this with you, you did not take ownership of your feeling, right? It did hurt though, did it? Oh, it did. Yeah, not as much as it did him. Yeah. He admitted it. See, I knew at that moment, I knew you were going to go, not really. Yeah. Okay. So you've got to own your own feelings. If you don't own your own feelings, it becomes impaired. Okay. Impaired sadness is unwillingness to let yourself attach. So what you're saying, sadness leads to self-pity. Self-pity says this, you know what? I keep on trying. I keep on giving myself the stuff. I keep on laying myself out there. I keep on caring. And you know what? Every time I do, no matter what happens, it always turns out badly for me. Okay? And you know what? I may as well just quit. And you know what? Now that I'm quitting, I may as well just drunk. And while I'm drunk, I'm going to go to the railroad track, stand on it. Now, what do you want to do with me? And what kind of demand do you hear upon you? Anything come to mind? What? Save me. Beth, that's great. Great name. She literally, listen, if you and I don't take ownership of our own sadness, we try to give it to somebody else. And she wants to save me. She's going to do my sadness for me. She's going to rescue me from responsibility for my life. My sadness that I won't own becomes manipulating her to grieve for me. Do you get that? And then finally, when she finally can't do it, you know what she's going to do? You have to give up on me. She has to, unless she's very sick. She has to move away. And I go, see, I told you I was no good. Proves it. Y'all get what I'm saying? Okay. So a person who won't own their feelings, and you may not even know your feelings. That's why I'm saying you've got to learn your feelings, because if you're not doing genuine sadness, you are doing self-pity. Now, if you're going to hide your self-pity, you'll go into some form of denial, which we'll talk about more in a bit. You're denying that you're in pain, and you're denying that you care. Okay, now a person who denies that they care is a person who appears to be hard and won't let anybody attach to them. So they seem to not care, which makes people back away from them, right? Or do what they say, which pretend to be close to them, pretend to be attached to them. This person actually ends up being more and more alone. This sadness gives us the gift of being able to live in acceptance. If you live in acceptance, you're a person who will keep on living no matter what happens. I want to be around people who keep on living no matter what happens.